Northwestern just 3 of 9 to start, and Michigan can grab a double-digit lead here. There comes the double. Well, they got lucky there. Step back three, McDaniel, and it goes. Everything is falling for the Wolverines. It really
is. Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday. That was the Big Ten Network in the first half calling Doug McDaniel with a big three there, and Michigan had a lot of things going well for him early on in the first half. But then the Cats came crawling back and actually would take the lead at the half. But we now know that it is a final. Michigan beats Northwestern 85-78. We're ready to talk about it with you out there. You want to leave a message, some feedback during the game. We read or during the show. We read that during the broadcast. We fire up Twitter Spaces, always on the Michigan Basketball Postgame Live, and so that is available for you as well. Michigan wins this game. They needed to win this game. They got out to a good start, and then they started turning the ball over, got a little sloppy, and then they had a ball game on their hand. You sit there down at the half, and then for the majority of the second half, it was a one possession game. Michigan did push it up to 4. And really, till you got down to, under 5.5 minutes, Michigan made a few plays. I'll put down the biggest play was Doug McDaniel throwing an alley-oop to his fellow freshman, Terrace Reed Jr. Alley-oop style, and that put Michigan up. Kobe Buffkin hit some big shots late, and Michigan was able to win this one. That's what I saw. We'll take you through it. We'll give you all the numbers. We'll look at the upcoming schedule and all of those sort of things and any concerns or not. I always like to get that feedback in for the people, and we'll start it out. Logan, he's a Michigan basketball fan. And Logan writes in that he says, solid win at home against a really good defensive team. If we cleaned up the free throws and turnovers, it could have been put away way sooner. All in all, good win against the solid Big Ten team. Yeah, good point about especially the turnovers. And, it's weird about Michigan and turnovers is that throughout the season, you can say what you want about them, but leading up even into that Michigan State game, what was it, a week ago, Michigan was not only, one of the best teams in the Big Ten, they were the best team in the Big Ten. They were one of the best teams in the country. They were top 3 in turnover rate, but then they coughed it up a lot against the Spartans, and then they did as well against the Hawkeyes, and then today they were close to having their season high in turnover. So whatever happened there, they got to, you say you got to clean up. Are they the team that was, the stingiest and took care of the ball the best in the country, one of the best? Or are they, this team that we've seen the last 3 games where they're coughing it up all over the place, 18 turnovers, for Michigan. And your point about the free throws, 70%, 70.8%, 17 to 24. But that seems like an improvement for U of M. They have not been fabulous going to the charity stripe, as you know, Logan. So I am with you on that. William checking in and says, it was a good win, but need to see a lot more of, it's a Tarek, I think he means Terrace, and Cheddar over Williams. He is lost and in the twilight zone. Well, I'll tell you this, William, that there was a push on the Maize and Blue review to get, there was some, like change up the lineups. Let's see a little bit more of this guy. There was even some talk of, hey, how about Will Cheddar in the starting lineup? And then you go to because he had 7 points the other night against the Hawkeyes, and he's getting over the last 3 or 4 games, got into double figures in minutes. And then he had a career high in 7 points. So, people were like, hey, let's see him in the starting lineup. And you're right. Terrence Williams, there have been some times where, you go back to last year or go back to early this year against Eastern, like, you guys can hit some buckets, but he was, you need more from him. You needed more from the bench. You need more from the bench if you're Juwan Howard in Michigan. So you're going to be talking about that 5th spot in the starting lineup. And you're also going to be talking about the bench, and you didn't see Cheddar at all in the first half. If you're a Michigan fan, you're like, what the heck? The guy scored 7. How come you can't even get him any run? But you get into the second half, and it's just 21 seconds into the second half. There was something going on. I don't know if it was a block out, or I think it was, or a foul, maybe a reach. And TW2 went to the bench 21 seconds into the second half, and that's when Will Cheddar came in, and Cheddar played the majority of the minutes in the second half. So, they talk about maybe Cheddar in the starting lineup. It didn't happen. He didn't get any time in the first half. But then, it was, you don't just get taken out 21 seconds into the second half like TW2 did in that situation. And, he just said, if that was his third personal or something, you could say, well, it was foul trouble, but it wasn't his third personal. He only had 2 fouls on the game. So there could be something there. Could be something to watch coming up in Michigan's next game, maybe a change in the starting lineup. We'll see. But, a little bit of a fan favorite when you're talking about Cheddar. Terrace Reed Jr., he's come on. He gives you a little bit off the bench, but this wasn't the best news that he was Michigan's best player against Michigan State. But more and more time for the big fella. Even putting him out there, you think that maybe it could be a little restrictive down in the lane when you have both Hunter Dickinson and Terrace Reed in there at the same time. You say you need to free some things up, but Hunter Dickinson didn't know a lot of posting up, and it could be one of these situations that frees up the offense a little bit more because you put Terrace Reed, you put him down in the pivot, and then you move Hunter out wide of the lane. Hunter Dickinson, if you're asking me, I would say, yeah, I want him down in the post. That's where he's best with the ball. All teams are immediately doubling him, running guys at him, and Hunter's been losing the ball. They've got to figure out, and I think this was part of it today, where you're moving Hunter around on the floor, and he showed that he today for sure could stick that jumper wide of the lane. I don't know how many threes you want him to make, but you're just having him move around, and he's not always just down on the block. It just kind of it bogs everything down. If he was down there and he was attacking and dunking over everybody or hitting hooks, and if he was passing it out and, the rest of the team was shooting threes, you'd say, hey, that's what you want. But that's not what's been happening. So they've had to figure out how to free him up and just get the offense flowing a little bit more. And I think when you have the big fella in there, Reed, the big hoss, as they were calling him today, I didn't know that was his nickname, but you got the big hoss out there along with Hunter Dickinson, and now you got some size, you got some rebounding, and that can free Hunter up maybe to do a little bit more freewheeling where he's just not down in the post. And William follows that up and says, Cheddar is going to give you more length and more size and better shooting, court awareness than you had all this time to figure this stuff out when you went to Europe and the non-conference schedule. Yeah, I'm not jumping on Juwan too much about not having Cheddar in there and TW2. The thing about Cheddar is that maybe he can shoot and provide some scoring. That's what he brings to the table in my mind. Now, people talking about, his size or what he does defensively, I didn't really see a lot of that. He hustles, nothing against him there. But it's not like, he's barely got into double figures in minutes. Let's not go crazy about, Cheddar being some elixir for this team or some kind of tonic for this team to push it forward. This team won the game today because of their freshmen standing out and then Bufkin hitting some big plays. It wasn't Cheddar coming in the second half and hustling around and, scoring a couple buckets. I know how people are, it's exciting. It's not like I don't want to see Cheddar come in and do something. And, you're going to need. It's not like this team's got a luxury of a bunch of different players or anything else. Michigan needs Terrence Williams the second. You know who else they need that hit some big buckets for him, and you can make a case that he hit one of the biggest buckets is Joey Buckets, Joey Baker. Nice catch and shoot in the second half. And you need outside shooting from Joey Baker. So those are the kind of things that we're talking about. Let's get into this game and what I saw as I went through this one. And, Michigan wins at 85-78. They improved to 10-7 now overall, 4-2 in the Big Ten. Coming into this game, Michigan actually had a better Ken Pom rating than Northwestern, 53-55. So away we went. They talked about the first half. Michigan got up a dozen in the first half, but the Cats would come back and grab their first lead with 3 minutes to play in the first, and actually took the lead, and they had the lead heading into halftime by 39-37. You looked at the box score at the half, and you're like, ooh, Doug McDaniel, that's nice, 10 points. But then you saw Hunter Dickinson only 4. You felt that's maybe a concern. Then we go into the second half, and pretty tight game in the second half for Michigan. I mentioned that Joey Baker catch and shoot 3, that put Michigan up 7 with 7.5 to go. I noted it. It looked good. It cuts Michigan up by 7. Looked like maybe they were going to put it away at that point. They didn't, but I thought the key play in this game was an alley-oop from Doug McDaniel to Terrace Reed Jr. that put him up 5 a couple minutes later. And then Kobe Buffkin had some plays. He hit a 3, put Michigan up 8. And then he also had a runner to put him up 11 with under 2 minutes. And that's what it took. And that's what ended up deciding it. You look at the overall numbers. You start with Buffkin, who led Michigan with 20. Also had 4 boards and 3 assists. How about Doug McDaniel? Had 10 in the first half, but ends up 17 points, 2 boards and 5 assists, 3 of 7 from downtown. He made all 4 of his 3 free throws. Jet, coming off that career high on Thursday against Iowa, pitched in with 16. He hit all of his free throws. Hunter Dickinson had the double-double, just 4 points in the first half, but 10 and 15. Yeah, a little bit more. You want to see, you're going to have to see more. You feel like you want more, you want to see more. You need to get more from Hunter Dickinson, 10 and 15. And you need him up there. I don't know if he needs 15 boards. 15 and 15 sounds nice. 20 and 15 sounds nice. That's if this team, is going to take a next step. But so, more from Hunter, and I'd like to see a little bit better, obviously, than 2 of 7 from the charity stripe. I already talked a lot about TW2. He had 5 points, did not hit a 3. Let's look at that bench. Joey Buckets. There he is. How about Joey Buckets? 1 of 2 from downtown, had 7 points. Terrace Reed Jr. I would say he's been coming on. Had a half dozen and 8 boards. And he hit all 3 of his free throws. That's nice because the big fella is going to get fouled. Will Chetta, the fan favorite. I don't know if they're ready to put him into the starting lineup or they're ready to give him some more time, whatever else you're talking about. 4 points, 2 boards for Cheddar, who was 2 of 3 from the line and missed his only shot from downtown. If they put the minutes in here, no, they don't. Not yet. Anyways, in the rest, you had Jace got in there. It's one of the first off the bench, but did not score for Michigan. Let's look at a little bit more of the feedback. Logan liked that alley-oop. He also liked Kobe Buffkin putting in a solid offensive game. Yeah, to start off the season, in the first couple games, I was looking at Michigan, and I thought that they had a real solid 2, Hunter Dickinson and Jet Howard. And then it's like, I'm not sure about the other 3, but Buffkin is he's done a nice job. He's turned me into a believer. Andres says that's a nice box score for Buffkin. Didn't see the game, but I'm glad to hear they moved away from the low post ISO game. I'd rather see Hunter in more face-ups. Well, not only did they go away from it, according to the Big Ten Network afterwards when I was watching it, DeCourcy, it's his number, he said that they didn't put Dickinson into the post until 33 minutes into the game. So clearly, they were going away from that and trying to do something different. Dooney Dunn saying Hunter has to be better than 10 points. Yeah, make your free throws, 3 of 7. And we're talking about, him getting close to a 15-15 game, 15 points, 15 boards. You need him to be your best player, but, trying to figure out how to get everybody working and get the best version of this team. They're still experimenting. Obviously, Juwan Howard still tinkering with the bench to see the best version of this team. I still think is having Terrence Williams II in the starting lineup, but he needs to be more consistent. And from that, he needs to knock down some outside shots. And if he's not going to be able to, I know everybody's talking about Cheddar and putting him into the starting lineup. If I had to make a move before I would put Cheddar in the starting lineup, I would be looking at Joey Buckets, Joey Baker. I know he doesn't bring much defensively, or it doesn't appear to. I don't think Cheddar. I wonder about his wind and how many minutes that he can play. And I'm not sure about his defense. I don't know about Baker's or Cheddar's defense. But what about that big lineup with putting the big hoss in there with him? How about Terrace Reed Jr. into the starting lineup? Mix things up a little bit, move Dickinson around. That would be my move. And then before I went with Cheddar, I would try Baker because I think Baker is the better shooter than Cheddar. So that's what I see if we're talking about a move with the starting lineup, and we might see a move with what happened there in the second half. It was pretty obvious 21 seconds that Juwan wasn't happy, and so you kind of feel like there could be a shift forthcoming. So we'll see if that happens or not. Logan talking about getting everybody doing a little bit better job from the charity stripe. I agree with that. Andre's pointing out that ISO doesn't allow Bufkin and McDaniel to flourish. It ends up with ball stopping and Hunter and Jet. Yeah, it's hard to go slicing and slashing and cutting and driving if you're Bufkin and McDaniel, if you're down there and you got Hunter just down in the post. So I'm with you on that. Looking back, Andres is to 5-6 years ago, Beeline's teams were so good because everyone could get in a rhythm. Not seeing that anymore. Glad to hear it was there today. Yeah, well, that's the one part when you just take a look at this starting lineup and you have Dickinson, you need to be able to shoot from outside. And if you're not going to be able to shoot from outside, you got to be able to put it on the floor, create your own, and score. And when you look at everyone on this team, certainly in the starting lineup, all of those guys can do that with the exception of Terrence Williams II. And he has that ability, but he's got to be able to knock down those shots. And if he doesn't, he loses his confidence. And then he goes in long stretches without scoring. And that's when you say, hey, what about somebody else in that spot? What about Joey Baker? Well, what about his defense? Good point. What about Cheddar in that spot? What about his defense? I don't know. What about Terrace Reed Jr.? Certainly he's not somebody that you're looking to shoot threes, but it's a different game then because then you're popping Hunter out and you're moving him around. And not that you want Hunter just hanging out at the 3-point line, but as we saw today, he was moving and getting that shot from the elbow or wide of the lane. And, when that shot's going, I feel like you get that one going a little bit. And then he becomes, I think, dangerous where you can at different times throw him down in the post and you just rely on it too much. It does become stagnant, and everybody does. But in a pinch here or there, maybe on some side outs, when you're coming out of a timeout in a half court, you get him down there, and then it becomes more effective. So maybe that's what we'll see from this offense and from Hunter Dickinson and whoever is going to be in that the fifth starter for this team. Maybe they will stay with what they have. Well, I noticed a lot of these names. You see us at 1 o'clock on this very feed. But let's check that upcoming schedule. And it is brought to you by the Maize and Blue Reviews Good Afternoon Michigan Football and Basketball Show. That is 1 o'clock weekdays on this very feed that you're watching right here. And it's interesting when you look at the rest of the schedule for the rest of the month. And Michigan's got a real chance to do something here and put some wins together. They beat Maryland. They ran them out of the gym on New Year's Day in Ann Arbor. Michigan's next game is coming up Thursday. They will be in Maryland, and let's see the matchups. I know Maryland's going to be wanting to return the favor, but I would say, considering how Michigan blew their doors off on New Year's Day, that Michigan's going to have a good chance to win that game. Go on the road, win that one. That would be nice. Minnesota in Ann Arbor. That should be a dub for sure. You can't afford to lose that one. Let's put a W next to that one. That would be 3 wins in a row. Last year, Michigan beat Purdue. Was Purdue the number 1 team in the country last year? Check on that. They were up there. And I didn't think there was any way that Michigan would beat Purdue. Am I predicting Michigan to beat Purdue now? Maryland, Minnesota, let's go ahead and predict them to beat Purdue. That would be 4 in a row. And then you go to Penn State. Penn State's a pretty good team, but they're similar to Michigan and where they're at right now in terms of Ken Pom and the standings and everything else. It's not like it's a real the Hornets' nest. What's that called? Bryce Jordan Arena going to Happy Valley. I think you have a chance if you're Michigan and if you're riding, at least at how I'm running this out, a 2, 3, 4-game winning streak for the possibility of going to Penn State, and then a 5-gamer. Where would their confidence be if they get a win against the Purdue Boilermakers? And, heading out on the road for the first time, you're talking about, being able to get the possibility of 5 wins in a row. You do that, you're looking at, maybe knocking on the door to being in the top 25. So let's go. And that's the kind of stuff. I don't know. I know you would say you're crazy. The only crazy part about that, if you want to call me crazy, and that's all right. I don't mind being called crazy. I think the only part about saying that it's crazy is Purdue. And they did beat them last year. And Purdue was pretty good last year. And so you are at home. And, you make the case that they can certainly be competitive and have a chance in any of those other games. Yeah, it's tough to win on the road. We saw that against Iowa, where Michigan was in position up 4 with 29 seconds to go and couldn't get it done. But they can win at Maryland. They certainly can win at Penn State. They will beat Minnesota. And so there you go. Let's talk about 5 in a row. And let's go. Let's see if they can do it. All right. We are here after every no, I'm rubbing my eye. I don't really know what's going on with that. It's okay. We are here after every Michigan basketball game. So if you ever find yourself, it doesn't matter when you're watching the Wolverines, and I want to talk about this one, well, get on in, head to Twitter. You follow me, the Twitter Spaces. It's always up there after the game, and you always have a chance. You can listen to the audio. That's where, if you want to get in and contribute audio-wise, you can do that. And so it's always available as well. The podcast, if you didn't catch the game, I would think, with the football, on today, that there would be a lot of people that would be listening to this after the fact. And so take advantage of that. Take advantage of the, if you want to ever place a call, if it's a big game or you wanted to talk about it, jump on in on that. So that's a wrap. Michigan will be going again on Thursday. We see that. The final today, 85-78. Thanks so much for watching and listening. And on this feed tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll talk with you on Good Afternoon Michigan football and basketball. Till then, everybody have a great Sunday. Goodbye.